Hey, small business owners. Have your sales gone up but your bank account doesn't? Has getting to know your numbers been on your to-do list for a while? Let's face it, you're good at doing the work in your business, but the money is hard. Have you noticed that by the time you pay your bills and pay everyone else each month, there's just not that much left for you? It's just not fair. As a business owner, you know you deserve to be getting paid more than you are, but you just can't seem to figure out where all the money went. What if there was another way? What if there was a way to tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went? What if you had money in your bank accounts at the end of the month to show for all your hard work? Well, this is the sign you've been looking for, that you're not alone and help is just a call away. The team at Likes Accounting prides themselves on being financial translators that can help you find smarter ways to make money, save money, and finally start paying yourself a salary that you deserve. Working with Likes Accounting not only helps you know your numbers, but they're cheerleaders helping you build a more profitable lifestyle business. The team at Likes Accounting are just a bunch of numbers nerds. They're all self-employed experts with experience in your industry. Megan, the owner, is not only fun, easy to understand, and crazy smart, she's even a CPA. Tech to CEO listeners get a free review of their QuickBooks online when they mention this podcast and visit likesaccounting.com. Again, get a free review of your financial data when you visit likesaccounting.com and the Tech to CEO podcast.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Technician to CEO. I'm your host, Wesley Maria with Bergflow. And today I'm very privileged to have the awesome Blake Williams, who runs a fantastic company down in Dallas. The company is called Super Team. It's not just one company, it's a host of companies. So, Blake, just maybe a short introduction, who you are, what does your world look like?
Okay, I'm Blake Williams. Along with my wife, Angela, we founded Super Inspector back in 2013. And since then, we've added more companies, grown the business. We have annual revenues this year, or for 2022, we're right at 10 million. And that includes home inspection, HVAC, an inspector school, Super Inspector Training Academy, our utility concierge business, as well as a contracting business and pest control business.
Wow. So you just everything in and around the real estate transaction, everything that really accommodates that. You guys have really monopolized and kind of stuck growth vehicles into each direction.
Yeah, so we consider ourselves a residential service company. Mm-hmm. And the inspection business has been the lead generator for the other businesses. And so that creates a nice ecosystem where we don't have to spend a ton of money on marketing and advertising because the leads are just coming in through the inspection business. And then the inspector school really helps us out in training our own inspectors as well as identifying potential candidates for us. And the real neat thing about that is we are able to take our regular training that we do for our new inspectors. We turn that training into approved continuing education classes, and we sell that to other inspectors in the community. So they're in the room with our inspectors training at the same time, but they're paying to be there. So in a sense, we have our competition to pay for our training for our inspectors.
Wow.
To help pay for it. So that's really cool. And we're doing the same thing with our call center, which is really cool. So we're now answering the phone for two other inspection companies, providing call center services for two other inspection companies. And so we want to expand that. So now we also have our competition paying for our call center as well.
Just another reason why you're such a phenomenal businessman, Blake. You and I have spent many times, fireside chats, literally around a fire down in a canyon somewhere. I know your story a little bit, but what's the journey like for you, having gone from technician to CEO? What is that journey been like for you?
I mean, it started out with having a clear vision for what we wanted to do, and the vision has changed and expanded. But we started out with a clear vision of what we wanted to do. When I say we, I'm talking about Angela and I, my wife. And it started out, we wanted to have an inspection company with 8 inspectors and $1 million in revenue. That was our original vision.
Yeah.
And we started moving towards that, and I quickly realized that, hey, in order for us to bring in top talent and recruit and retain top talent and surround ourselves with great people, we're going to have to provide more opportunity than that, or we'll bring them in and the ones that are ambitious will leave and go somewhere else to find their opportunity. So then we expanded our vision. We wanted to be the largest inspection company in the state of Texas. And then we continued to expand that vision as we saw the opportunity to create more ecosystem. I have a vision board that I made on Microsoft Word with squares and shapes showing, what we wanted it to look like eventually when we got to that point of the residential service company vision. And so I always like looking at that. But it remains pretty valid today to what we wanted to accomplish, where we are today. Our challenge now is scaling. But then as we continued to grow, I was working in the field doing inspections. And in order to accomplish our vision to be the largest in the state of Texas, we decided it's time to expand to Austin. It's an awesome growing market. We did that in 2017, and we didn't really know how to do that. And so it was like, let's just start marketing down there and we'll get inspection. I'll go down there and do it.
Yeah.
And so I spent most of 2017 driving back and forth between Denton and Austin doing inspections. Sometimes I'd stay the night in a hotel. Sometimes I'd drive down in the morning, do inspections, drive back in the evening. And then finally at the end of 2017, I rented an apartment because the business had grown and I needed to be there full time. And then we started hiring inspectors, and that's kind of how we worked it. And so moving towards CEO was more at a very strategic level of expansion, but I was still doing a lot of the grunt work, which, you could argue either way, whether that was the right thing to do or not. But it worked for us. And so then in 2018, by the time I had inspectors in place in Austin that were doing a great job and I could stop, that's when I got out of the field completely. And really, I can remember the time we have always had an annual kickoff meeting to kick off the year in January. And so we bring the whole team together, and we still do that now. And I was in the annual kickoff meeting, and we had at that time, I think 40 or so, this would have been 2019, 40 or so team members. And some of our leadership team was up on the stage presenting their vision for their team and for the year. And I was standing at the back with a friend of mine, and he just looked at me and he said, "Wow, this is pretty awesome." And I was like, "Yeah, it is." And I just realized at that point, that's when I was like, all right, I've really got to get into CEO mode, And I already was, but it was just that realization, looking over the room and seeing that the leadership team had taken over the company.
Yeah.
And that was, I told him then, I said, it's not my company anymore, it's theirs.
Yeah.
And so that was a great moment. And, that's when my mind really started to focus on leadership development, strategic thinking, casting vision. I had done all those things, but I began to really focus and clarify that.
So, I mean, in 2019, you said you guys were 40 people in the company. How big are you guys right now?
We're right at 100.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So in a matter of another 3 years, you guys have more than doubled your staff complement alone.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something that you said is you had an original vision. It's on Microsoft Word, it's squares and circles with things on there. And that original vision was for $1 million company. And I think a lot of people abandon the vision and then they find a new vision. Where I think the success story for me with you is you've taken that vision and just blown it up. You know, it's not, you haven't abandoned ship, you haven't abandoned strategy. And I think as on this journey for you and truly becoming CEO and beyond, which you are today, is the clarity around the vision. You know, we have this vision, which is more like a want, but as we walk out this journey of being a CEO, that vision becomes more clear and more clear. And you said it beautifully, is it's now your leaders that are carrying forward that vision. Their vision is very clear within your vision.
Yeah, and it goes back to, I took a course called Business Clarity Solutions a long time ago, maybe 2004, around that time. Might have been 2006, and that's where I learned. And the main thing that I remember from that course is that clarity of vision is the number one key to business success. Businesses that are able to scale beyond $1 million, beyond $10 million to statewide, regional, national level have that clarity of vision. And I kept that with me, sometimes more subconsciously, sometimes consciously, that we had to have that clarity of vision. So I've always tried to provide that. I see a vision statement as a statement of where you want to be, not of what you do. And so I try to always keep that in mind. And so, our vision today is to be the largest privately held real estate service company in the nation. And, it could maybe be a little more specific on what does that mean, the largest, right? But that's what drives us right now. And, we accomplish that through our mission. And that vision is necessary for us to accomplish our mission. So the two statements are tied together. Our mission statement is to provide opportunity and super experiences for our team, our agents, our clients, and all we serve. And so in order to accomplish the vision of providing opportunity and super experiences, we have to be continually expanding, or the opportunity and the great experiences are not there. And so, what kind of experience is it for somebody like Robert Dillon on our team, who started out as an inspector? I think the fourth inspector that we hired, and now he's our service manager, and soon to be over all of services, possibly, if he continues to excel, and then moving that to a regional and national level. What a great experience for him, right? To be on the ride. If that's the kind of ride you want to be on, then that's a great experience. And then also the opportunity that he then has to, secure his retirement, take better care of his family, provide opportunity for the people that work under him. All those things are there for him to accomplish. And so we have several people in our organization like that. And so that's what really drives me now as the CEO, is just seeing that development, seeing those opportunities, people grab hold of them, experiencing that rush, that you get when you see those reaching your goals.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that I think you articulate so well is the vision of your company is that true north. It's what where you're going, and that's the vision. And as your company grows and the people around you grow, you can see further and reach further and have a bigger impact. And you quoted your mission statement, and a lot of times when I speak to business owners, they read their mission statement. For you, it is so ingrained in who you are and what you believe, and in the culture of your company, that you articulate it as part of the message that you deliver. And I think that's, for me, the true indication of somebody that lives that which they believe. The vision and mission statement isn't just a fancy poster on the wall. It's something that you live and breathe every day.
Yeah, we recently acquired a company, and I walked into the offices, and they had their mission and vision statement up on the wall. And I think the vision statement was 3 or 4 paragraphs long, and the mission statement was 2 paragraphs long. And I just immediately took them down, and I said, "Okay, forget about this." And then we worked with the leadership team to create a new mission and vision for them. Yeah, it's got to be more than lip service. It's got to be part of the culture. So we start off every quarterly team meeting with I have $200 bills in my pocket, and we do a drawing, and whoever's name we draw, they stand up and give me the vision statement. And if they get it right, I give them $100. If they don't, I draw another name. And then we do the same thing with the mission statement. Give me the mission statement. So it's a fun way to start off the meeting. So, and it's usually the new team members that have really, because they get told that, hey, when we go to this meeting, Blake's going to ask them, you need to know it. And boy, they've got it down pat. So,
yeah, great on you, Blake. We spoke a little about when you realized you were a CEO, not a technician anymore. And, there was this pivotal moment in your company when it grew beyond, and you said, okay, I now need to really take on this journey of being a true CEO. What made you decide to take on that journey?
What made me decide that?
Yeah, why didn't you just tap out at a $1 million company or a $3 million company? I mean,
I can go all the way back to my senior year in high school. I can remember being in a pickup in Lawton, Oklahoma, with one of my high school buddies, David Sterling, and we were talking about life after high school and the dreams that we had. And my dream was, I said, I want to be an executive of a national company. That's my dream. I want to be, I had been around some of that. I had seen it in movies, and I was like, man, those guys, they got the life. It looks a lot better on TV than it does in person sometimes. But I've always, I said it then that's what I wanted to accomplish. And I've had a few lulls along the way where I was at a point where I was like, okay, I'm not really accomplishing my dream. This is where I am. And that's okay. And then something would snap me out of it. Right. And get me back to driving towards what that dream was. But I had a couple of uncles also that inspired me in that direction. One of my uncles grew a paper company here in Dallas to a national paper company. And then his sons had carried that on. I had another uncle who was an top executive at Sun Oil Company here in Dallas. And we grew up, those were my mother's brothers. And, we would come here to Dallas and visit them, and they were wealthy and doing well. And they were just like, I looked up to them so much. We were, our family was poor middle class. And so that was something that they inspired me to do as well.
Yeah, there's always, when I speak to CEOs, there's always a personal story that starts the fire. Some people have a skill and they want to build a business around a skill. And then some people just want to be a CEO or have a business, but they don't quite know what it looks like. And that's a much harder journey. I think they're different journeys, but just being a business owner for the sake of being a business owner with no clear why, I think it's a very dark and lonely place to exist in. I mean, you're just setting yourself up for many battles. There's many mental battles in that space. And then on the other side is, use what's in your hand. A lot of people have skills or an understanding, and you've done a really good job. I know that you guys are really deep in some of the markets that you own. Is you've specialized in depth within a market as opposed to just going as wide as possible. One of the things that I want to ask you is, you said I have a strong leadership team. So how does your team see you showing up as a CEO and not just a company owner?
Um, they they really lean on the vision casting and the leadership development. Of course, sometimes they see me as the guy that comes in and wrecks everything.
Yeah.
They have all these plans, and then I come in and I'm like, "What are you doing?" That happens. It happened yesterday, as a matter of fact. But I'd been on a hunting trip all last week, and when I came back, I'm recharged and energized from disconnecting, and I've got all these ideas, and it's like, well, I thought we were going to do this. Like, I know, but we're changing direction. I'm sure you've experienced that with Dirk, your CEO, right? But it really is, when they come to lean on me, it's really about strategy and vision. And so I think they've come to trust me in that regard. And I'm not always right, but and they don't always agree, and that's okay too. We try to have that kind of healthy conflict, which can be difficult sometimes, but it's necessary for growth. And the one thing that I'm really working with them on now is really being the CEO of their division, their area of responsibility. And to get out of the management mindset and into the CEO or leader mindset. So for instance, there's a situation where we needed to cut costs when we got into October, November, December, fourth quarter last year. And so I said, okay, we're going to have to cut costs, and everybody complied. And now it's looking like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't have laid off those 4 people. We should have only laid off 2, or, maybe we shouldn't have laid off. Yeah. And my response is, that's great. If you need to hire more people, make the case. Show me the strategy. What are you trying to accomplish with this? How's it going to affect your team, the revenue, the bottom line, everything? And that's the next step for them. How do you make this work within the whole company framework, right? If you want to hire, if you want to lay people off, if you want to bring in new technology or whatever it is, don't rely on me to make that decision. Put together the case for it, and you make the decision, but own the results of that as well. So that's where we are right now to get us through that $10 million mark, and up to the $50 million where we want to be. It's going to take that kind of leadership. And so that's what I'm really working on now.
Yeah. And I think that's such an important thing, is focus on empowering and enabling your leadership to take ownership of the solution, not come to you and say, hey, I made a mistake. I laid off 4 people. I maybe just you need to fix my problem. And I think that's the difference between somebody that's building a leadership team or building a group of people around them that can react to good or bad decisions. Ultimately, it still ends up as your decision. And what you're doing is you're splitting the responsibility out to the people who actually own the role, because it gives them a sense of purpose. It gives them a sense of fulfillment. I know that you were on a hunting trip last week. And I know, a lot of that, what you get to do today is a result of many, many years of hard work. How important is a peer-to-peer network for a CEO?
It's extremely important. I mean, that's where you get recharged, re-energized. That's where you get accountability. If you talk to anybody that's successful at a high level, they have people that hold them accountable, outside of the organization as well as inside. And so, I have a group of people that I'd like to do adventures with. You and Dirk being some of those people, and Daryl and some of the guys that I hunt with.
Mm.
And it's great to get out and really talk about those high level concepts and strategies and what you're doing with people outside the organization. It gives you renewed energy and refreshment, and it allows you to have other people looking at your organization in a way that you might not see it from inside. As much as you try to be outside the organization looking in, sometimes it's hard. You don't see the forest for the trees, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I think it's extremely important. I think it's the pathway to scaling your business. It's the pathway to high levels of success.
Yeah, being a CEO, it's such a lonely journey, because as much as we want to believe the people that we lead are lying awake 10 o'clock at night worrying about the company, you're lying awake at night maybe with different worries or different concerns or different things that you need to focus on. And I think that's where the peer-to-peer network, where one, yeah, it's okay that I got my ass handed to me. This was my experience, and hearing somebody else's story and being able to share with somebody in a safe environment. And I think that's what a peer-to-peer network does. One, there's people above you and there's people below you. And I see a lot of people get into peer-to-peer networks because just gimme, 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 gimme. And at some point, one hand has to reach up and another hand has to reach down. I know that you do this personally. There's a lot of people that look to you for, direction and stuff like that. So what advice do you have for people to help change their perspective around how to lead people, how to be a true CEO?
One of the main things I think is we have to get out of, number one, we have to move away from fear. We live in an abundant world. There's really not a lot of negative consequences to failure. You might feel it emotionally, but in the end, it's going to be okay. So you have to move beyond that fear of failure. And you have to look at every failure as an opportunity, learning experience, move forward, move through that. And then also the mindset of trusting people. If you can't trust people, then you're going to be the lid on your growth. You have to let go and let people do what you need to be done in their way, right? There's so many people that just look at, well, why are they doing it that way? They shouldn't be doing it that way. They should be doing it my way, this way. And then what happens is they want to institute a bunch of policies and procedures to direct the activities of their team. And usually if you find a company that has a big, thick policy manual, that company is covering up for incompetency.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're not hiring people right. And so they're bringing in people that can't do the job. And then they're trying to make them do the job that they want it, the way they want it done, through endless amounts of policies. And all that does is give you the ammunition to convict people when they don't follow the policy, right? It's creates bureaucracy, slows everything down. You don't have employees that can make decisions, or they're afraid to make decisions. All they know how to do is follow the policy.
Yeah.
If you want to move fast, move quick, then like for us, we have our policy manual. We don't even have one. If we did, you could write it on a postcard. And it's, number one, if you have a decision to make, and make it, you make it. Everybody in our company has the power to make decisions for the company, period. Number two, take responsibility for everything. Everything is our fault. That doesn't mean we're to blame, but we're going to take responsibility for it. Number three, we don't make excuses, right? It doesn't matter. You're late for a meeting. It's because you didn't leave early enough. It's not because there was traffic, right? There's no excuses, right? And number four, we say yes, right? We answer customer requests in three ways. Yes, we can do that. We'll arrange that for you, or we might have a better plan. That's how we answer customer requests. We never say no. We let the customer say no. It's like I had a guy call me once and said, "Hey," is a friend of mine. "Hey, Blake, I'm buying a house in Denver. I want you to come inspect it." And I'm like, "Well, I can do that. It would be, probably $5,000, for hotel and air flight per diem and the inspection fee. And, uh, if he's willing to pay me $5,000, I'll go do it. It's not a big deal." And I said, "But I've got a better plan. I know some people in Denver that would do a great job for you, and I'll just refer you to them." Right. And so I was able to take care of that without saying, "Oh no, I can't do that."
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's the difference between a short win and a long win. Some people will be so distracted with chasing foxes, the short wins. And I think some of the things that you said is, if a leader is a do it my way, it's a clear indication that you did not hire people that are better at it than you.
Right.
A true CEO hires people that are better at stuff than what they were. I know you came from the home inspection spaces. You need to hire inspectors that are better than you. You need to hire growth people that are better than you, because that's upscaling your skill within your company. And if you're dictating to everybody, well, you need to do it my way. And I was thinking about when you guys expanded to Austin, when you started your business, you were owner operator, and that was your expansion model. So the startup model is kind of what you adopt as the expansion model. And you said, "Hey, I went to Austin and I followed the startup model there."
Right.
Now you're at that space where you said, "Hey, we just acquired another company." And that for me is the sign of a CEO that starts saying, "Well, I don't want to repeat my startup philosophy of my first year in business over and over and over. And that cannot be my expansion strategy." I'm not saying people must go out there and buy companies, but there has to be mental evolution in how you overcome expansion. And if it's only up to you, and I've got other clients, they're moving 5 hours away from their base and they're relocating there, and it's a brick and mortar company. Their expansion strategy is, well, I'll just go replicate everything that I've done here. I'll do the same thing, put up a facility. And that means you are the expansion leader. You're not the CEO, you're the director of expansion. But it'll only expand as quickly as you can get it off the ground. And the other thing that you said reminded me of a thing that I read the other day. Fear and faith requires the same energy. It's what you determine you focus on, because both of those require you to believe in something that you cannot see. If you fear something, it's because it's unseen or unknown. If you have faith, it's the same energy that you apply. And I think a lot of people fall victim, especially if they don't have that peer-to-peer network where people can just call them, to the mat. It's like, dude, you're overthinking this. You're fearing something that's not even on the radar. Why don't you just use that energy and apply your mental focus somewhere else?
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, and I don't remember who said it, but the quote is, "Fear only exists in the past and the future, neither of which exists."
Yeah.
And, so that speaks to me really, really deeply. And, fear is just a result of, like you said, is a result of uncertainty. So because you're uncertain, you begin to imagine all the possibilities. And most of the time, the possibilities that you imagine are unreasonable. And we see that in the inspection business over and over again, where people are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't hire somebody else to do an inspection because they might miss something. And then somebody's going to sue me, and then I'm going to be out of business." And it's like, okay, well, in reality, very few inspections ever end up in a lawsuit. You have insurance to cover you if they do, and you're not the greatest inspector in the world either, so you're going to miss things. So it's one of the things that I tell inspectors when I'm talking to them. The first thing you have to do is get over yourself, because you're not that great and I'm not that great.
Yeah.
You can hire people better than you, like you said earlier.
So, it reminds me of a saying by Winston Churchill. He says, "Fear is a reaction, courage is a decision."
Yeah.
And both of those are learned behaviors. fear is a learned behavior. And I've done a lot of study into behavioral, psychology and therapy because I train on it. But courage is a decision. And you can make a decision to say, you know what, I'm going to hire better people. You know what, I am going to let go of my preconceived ideas of what a good inspection needs to look like. I need somebody else to raise the bar because what got me here won't get me there. I grew the company based on my skill being an inspector or even a CEO. At some point, you're going to replace yourself as CEO of the different entities and you'll be CEO over 5 entities or 7 entities, however many it is. But it requires a new level of thinking. The Bible says through the constant renewal of your mind. And, that always makes me think when you're a CEO, there has to be a constant renewal of your mind because you can't solve today's problems with yesterday's formula. Yeah.
And so it's like, what Zig Ziglar said is you'll be the same person in 5 years that you are today, except for the books that you read and the people you meet. And that's the renewal of the mind, right? So, and you say leaders are readers, or, the average CEO reads, 30, 40 books a year, whatever it is. And so you have to live that, if your dream, if your vision is to be up there, then you have to live that. You can't say I want to be a CEO and then not do CEO things. So you have to be constantly renewing your mind. And, reading, praying, meditating, however you find that faith is so important. We always talk about in our company, your morning routine. And, we as a group, we read the Miracle Morning and we pass that book out to our team members. It's even kind of backfired, not really, but we had a book club within our company reading Miracle Morning, and after they read through it and went through the exercises, one of the guys was an inspector. He called me and he said, Blake, I hate to say this, but after reading Miracle Morning, I had an epiphany, and this is not where I want to be. He said, I bought a ranch in the hill country, and I'm going out there to be a rancher. I'm like,
yeah,
great, go do it, man.
Yeah, much rather that than that person. At best, if somebody lives the illusion of where I want to be, you're never going to get 100% from them.
Right.
Their best will peak out about 60 to 70% with a lot of effort and a lot of management. As painful as it is, you can churn and put somebody else in there that will give 100%. And it doesn't mean that person didn't have the commitment. They just didn't have the motive.
Yeah.
Their motive was, I actually want to go live on a ranch. This is the life that I envision for myself. And you can draw upon the commitment, but motive for me is the important thing behind it.
I like that. Yeah. We were just glad that we helped him come to that realization.
Yeah. Rather the earlier you can get people to that realization, then, you don't have to go dig, because that their 70% contribution is going to feel like 100% for them. And with a lot of digging, you're going to see it's 70%. Then you're responsible for, how do I combat this? And if you live and have in your culture such an open dialogue around just be the best you, where you want to be, and have clarity around your vision, it's easy for you to see whether there's alignment with vision or not.
Yeah. I like that.
What are you most excited about the future, Blake? What does the future look like for you?
Yeah,
you mentioned 50 million earlier on. What does the future look like for you guys?
Yeah, for me personally, I've got both my kids working in the organization, and I'm really excited to see them picking up the mantle, excelling in not only what their responsibility is, but in leadership. I'm excited for the technology that's coming into the industry. It's really going to change everything. It's very likely that in 10 years, we won't even be doing inspections. Our focus will be totally outside of that on things, that we're looking at, like home automation, home maintenance monitoring from a distance, right? Those kinds of things are all in the pipeline. And so I'm really excited for that, just to see what kind of changes are going to happen as a result of the artificial intelligence and the machine learning and that kind of thing. So there's a long way to go to get there. I mean, there's, millions and millions and millions of houses that have to be upgraded before there's even a viable business model for that. So I don't think the inspection industry is going away quickly, but at some point I could see that it won't be necessary, not in the form that it is today.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question is I'm always interested to see how far into the future a CEO looks. And it's very clear that you're looking beyond, hey, we just want to grow from 10 to 12 this year. It's not that 1 year vision. It's not even a 3 year vision. It's a 10, 20-year vision, because the industry has to catch up, technology has to catch up, but I kind of have this idea of where we're going to go. It's this big idea somewhere in the future. And it's not about the day-to-day grind of, well, I just need to make enough money so that we can show, 1% increase in our margin. That's someone else's responsibility in your company. And it's about going to a higher level of vision casting. It's leading the direction of the company.
Yeah, it's and it's one of those things that can create some fear, because there's so much uncertainty in that, and that's where the faith comes in, right? You have faith that you've built a business and a team around you that can navigate that, and that's what gives you the courage, right, to move forward. Is you can't have one without the other. If you're trying to do everything yourself, then there's a lot more uncertainty around it. But when you've got a team that supports you, and my wife is, she's just really smart and has great instincts around people, and so that helps a lot as well.
Yeah. I mean, I know Angela personally as well. So hopefully she listens to this podcast and hears the compliments that you hand out in her absence.
She's in the other room. She can hear me.
Okay. This journey from technician to CEO and CEO and beyond, everybody thinks, well, I had some challenges. I can listen to your story. You're a $10 million company. Everything must have always gone right. So let's focus on what do you feel has been your biggest success indicator or success driver to get you to where you are today?
The biggest success driver for us, the thing that drives success, I believe, is our culture, and our culture that, as I said before, is that everybody is responsible for everything in our company. They're responsible for making decisions. I can go back to 2020 when COVID hit and the lockdowns and all the quarantines and nonsense, and it was like, what do we do? Do we have to stop inspecting? And I was like, we're not stopping inspecting until we're told we have to stop. And then, okay, how do you justify that? So we looked at the regulations and we said, here's how we're going to justify it. And then it's like, all right, guys, you got to do this. I'm not going to go buy your mask and your disinfectant and your spray bottles and whatever you need, your Tyvek suits, whatever you need to go inspect. We came up with, these are the things that you need. Now you guys got to make it happen. And man, everybody went out, collected their own materials, didn't even ask for reimbursement. And they knew that if they were going to keep working, that, this is what they had to do. And they made those decisions on when to go in the house, when not to go in the house. We didn't have to come up with a set of policies to direct them on what to do in that emergency situation. We said, it's up to you. And they went and did it. And it was just an amazing thing to see. And we've had other smaller successes like that, but just having that mindset of a decentralized company where decision-making is at the frontline level.
Yeah.
Not only does that help you to move and pivot quickly, it also attracts a certain type of person to your company. Some people don't want that. They want to be told what to do. And that's okay. They probably don't want to work here, But for those people that are more entrepreneurial minded, that want to take responsibility for their own lives, we attract that type of person. And so it feeds the culture, and it really makes things, sometimes it's chaotic, but it's driven our success more than anything else.
Yeah, and that's a nice thing is, you've created a culture of attracting people that are like-minded. And I think that is, if I can do that all the time and I can attract people that have the same drive, there's no substitute for grit. Is you want people with grit, with drive, and that is the flavor of the culture. When I've stepped into your office, when I've spent time with you, or I spent time with any of your leaders, they all have that golden vein of grit. And the whole COVID mask thing that you spoke about is, we've got a problem. Hey guys, you need to solve this. And they just took it in their stride and said, okay, we'll solve it. But we're here to do inspections. We're here to grow the company. We're here to go to the next level. We're not going to use this, and you said it earlier, there's no excuses.
Right.
And that's a prime example of where excuses doesn't stop you nor your team. There was an expectation created that, hey guys, we don't make excuses. They just, it's part of the culture to not, cop out on an excuse.
Yeah.
I would love to or say that the CEO journey life is always easy. If you could point out something, what is the biggest blunder that you look back and say, you know what, that's when my ass hit the tarmac. That's at what's that biggest lesson that you've learned in business?
Yeah, really. And you spoke to it a little bit earlier, and I experienced it last year. I mean, we got our teeth kicked in trying to expand with the startup model. And I set an outrageous goal to expand into 11 cities in 1 year, in 2022. And we started down that road last January, actually before that, but expanding into Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Phoenix, and using the startup mode, but not me moving to those locations, hiring people in those locations. And, it was slow getting traction. It was costing us tons and tons of money, burning through cash like crazy. And, finally, we just had to start pulling the plug on it because the market wasn't supporting what we were doing. We weren't hiring the right people in those areas. We were just hiring people. At what we quickly found out that that type of model, that startup model, requires a rock star person to get it up and going. And, it can't just be some average inspector or average growth person. And so came about June, we had to start pulling the plug on all that stuff because we're burning through cash so fast. And so one of the lessons I learned from that is, number one, the people are really what is going to drive success with that type of model, just as I did it myself. Not that I'm that great, but I was a driver, and so the other thing that we learned there is that you can get results with acquisition. I had been fearful, I guess, of acquisition because I was uncertain of how to do it, how to make it happen. And so I just had to make the decision to say, okay, this is not working. We tried it. Now we have to try something different, and it's got to be an acquisition. So we ended up making 2 acquisitions in the last half of last year. And they're working out a lot better than the other expansion model. So we made a small acquisition in Las Vegas. That was our first one. And then a bigger acquisition in Maryland. And so that's, you get immediate cash flow when you acquire a company. So that has made a huge difference. It's a lot of work. An acquisition is not easy. I mean, the easy part is buying the company. The hard part is right after you buy it, then now what's next, right? So that was a tough lesson. And then understanding when to put your foot on the gas and take your foot off. We had such from 2009 up to up to 2021. The real estate markets were booming everywhere, and then last year not so much. Although it was still a good year, we we what we came to realize is that 2020 and 2021 were a bubble, right?
Yeah.
And thankful for us, because of our great team, we were able to maintain a little bit of growth in 2022 over 2021. But we began to look at it and compare it more to 2019 and say, oh, wow, if we compare 2022, even though we were small growth, like I think 10% growth in revenue, compared to 2019, that's a 60% growth. And so putting things into perspective, understanding when to put your foot on the gas. We shouldn't have been putting our foot on the gas in 2022. It should have been, okay, now it's time to reap what we've sown for the last 10 years and focus on profit. And so that's where we are now. We're still growing in revenue, and we want to grow in revenue because we want to expand and provide that opportunity. But right now, with the real estate market being flat, I feel like it's time to reap what you've sown, and then be ready to put your foot on the gas when it's time to do that.
Yeah, I love the fact that you can identify these pivotal moments in your business where you went down a journey, where you went down a path, and you very quickly realized, I have to pivot. I think a lot of people don't have the mindset to identify, what, this is not working. And the thing that I like about the way that you describe, and I keep smiling internally, is whenever you talk about your success, you talk about your team. You don't articulate it in a way, well, I did this and I did this and I did this. Every time you talk about a success is, oh, we hired the wrong people. My team did this. My leadership did this. And I think that's the trait of a great CEO, is somebody that can recognize the successes of the team. Ultimately, it is your leadership that gets them there. But it's not about the recognition or the reward. It's about the success. Do I want the recognition? Do I want the reward? No, I just want the success. And if I win, everybody wins. Everybody win, I win. So, I want to jump to another thing, and I want to respect your time. I know you're a busy guy, hunting and doing all these things that you do. What advice would you give to others that want to go from technician to true CEO, or business owner operator to true CEO?
Yeah, I think I've already said it. The main thing is you got to get over yourself, right? You're not that great. And so you have to surround yourself with great people and pick where you can be most effective and focus on that. And then hire people that are effective in the areas where you're not effective. So, and it's almost cliche really, but it's like, don't focus on correcting your weaknesses, focus on building your strengths. And maybe that's cliche for us, but maybe not everybody makes that realization. But if you're not a good if your behavior profile doesn't say that you're a good growth person, and you keep trying to go out and do growth activities, sales, and you're not a natural salesperson, it causes you stress to go do those activities, then you shouldn't be doing them. Find somebody that's energized by that enjoys that, and get them out there and focus on the things that give you energy. And, having a good operations person that oversees the day-to-day operation, that's life-changing. When you find that person that takes over the day-to-day operation for you, it gives you so much freedom to take your focus outside the business, looking for those opportunities, thinking that what's the market like, what's the strategy that we're going to be able to employ to take advantage of the market conditions. And you don't have to constantly be looking inside the business to go, okay, are the phones getting answered? Are the customers getting responded to? Is the money in the bank? All those things that good operations person does for you, it's life changing to have that person.
Yeah. And I mean, getting out of your own way, and that's something that we teach in Berkeley quite often is have a strength-based approach in your company. Celebrate people's uniqueness, use their strengths, because you can amplify them. I don't have to convince you, I don't have to train you. You have natural strength, and you need to find a way to identify those and amplify those. And then when you're talking about talent acquisition or bringing people into your company, is you need to be able to identify that and amplify that. And I see a lot of people put a body in a seat without clarity around what strength can I amplify, because it's based on opinion. Last question, like when you get stuck, how do you become unstuck? And I know we spoke about peer-to-peer earlier on, and bigger vision casting and going off hunting for a week. And if you get stuck, how do you become unstuck?
Well, we have a coach in our business that I have he's an accountability partner and a coach to our team. So he is present in our strategic meetings and helps facilitate those. And then he has weekly accountability meetings with Angela and I separately, and that helps a lot. Reading is a big thing for me to get me unstuck. If I think about the times when I've been stuck, it's when I'm not reading consistently every morning like I need to do. That happened to me recently where I wasn't spending a lot of time reading, and I get such inspiration from reading. We just read 5 Dysfunctions of a Team again. I'm reading No Rules for the second time. I read Hastings, great book. I read the Daily Stoic with my team every day. It's kind of like a devotional. And so it's reading gets me unstuck. Sometimes I need to vent to get unstuck. So I'll get into an argument with my coach. And I mean, we've been in some pretty heated arguments, but at the end of it, I feel a lot better and feel like I've grown from that discussion. So conflict, I guess, would be the answer, is a way to get unstuck. Engage in meaningful conflict.
Yeah, healthy conflict. Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. I wrote down here, I see a lot of business owners that want to surround themselves with fans. I just want everybody to be my fan at the office. And I don't have to be your fan, but I will be your advocate. If I believe in what you do, I believe that you're right. I believe that you're leading us. I will advocate the hell out of it. I will work the hell out of it. I will be committed, as much as anybody willing to put their weight behind it. But I see a lot of business owners, create this fan base around them. And that all that does is it bolsters the ego. You never get to healthy conflict. You never get to, hey, let's have as a client of mine said, let's have a come to Jesus moment right now, because your ego is in the way. Or you know what? Your team is asking a higher level of you. And I think that for me is so important in this lonely journey of being a CEO, is you need to have an environment where healthy conflict can exist. You can be checked. Your ego can be checked. Your motives. And again, you guys have an in-house coach that helps you with that. I think that's so important, is to have somebody that is just willing to tell you, you know what, get out of your own way, or get out of your team's way.
Yeah, there's no doubt that part of our catalyst for growth going back to 2019 to now is our relationship with BirdFlow. I mean, our ability through the tools that you've given us to evaluate people before they come into the organization, and the coaching has been huge for us. You have to have that. If you can't quickly evaluate talent and move them through the recruiting process in a way that brings in people that you can build those strengths on, the right people, the right fit, the right person in the right seat of the bus, then it becomes more of a struggle. You can't move as fast. And so those tools have been invaluable to our growth.
Yeah, I heard someone yesterday describe it as pushing a rope.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a very clear structure, you're just going to push a rope, and it's hard. And you can't want it for the people in and around you more than what they want it for themselves. And the relationship that we've had with you in the past is really, as much as you've grown, we've grown. And I think for us, the benefit is getting to see this journey of truly becoming a CEO. There has to be a focus on, I have to evolve. I have to learn. The Bible says, die unto yourself. You have to park who you are to a side, because your company, your leaders, your wife, your environment is calling for a high level of you. And I think that's where, for me, the success story of what you guys have done so really well is there's a focus on that. There's an awareness around that. And I think a lot of business owners, you have to admit, I don't know everything. You have to surround yourself with people smarter than you, better than you, more experienced than you, even just a different perspective than you. Because if you just have fans around you that keeps telling you you're doing the wrong thing, oh, Blake, just keep repeating this startup model, better luck next time. These are the things that you did wrong. At some point, you need to say, well, I need to abandon that strategy, not the vision, but the strategy. And I think that's where higher level conversations, really helps with that. Blake, if somebody wants to reach out to you guys, they want to get your services, they want to learn from you, they want to invite you to a hunt, how do they get hold of you guys?
Hey, you can email me at blake@yoursuperinspector.com. You can go to our website, superteamservices.com. Heck, you can call my cell phone, 940-471. No, what is it? I can't remember my cell phone number now, 940-231-4307. So,
well, if that's not your number, that guy's going to get some phone calls.
Right.
Yeah. Blake, thank you for spending time with me. I wish you all the best, my friend. If you guys want to check out Super Team, Super Inspector, their concierge business, they've got a bouquet of businesses associated with that. Head over to their website. I strongly encourage you guys to have a look at them. If you want to learn where or how to get into a peer-to-peer network, you're welcome to reach out to Blake as well. Such a giving guy. Blake, it's always a pleasure spending time with you.
Yeah. You likewise, Wesley. We always enjoy your high-level conversation, your intelligence, your wit, man. You're just awesome. We really love you. So
the only thing that I will own is the wit. The rest I'm gonna leave up to open opinion. Blake, thank you very much. I appreciate spending the time. Have a good day.
All right. Bye-bye.